I have been told to greet everybody. I don't know why I've been told or selected, but I am happy to do it. I greet you all. Thank you all for coming. This is a great event. It's a splendid event. Everybody looks fantastic. So we felt it was only appropriate that it being a fantastic evening, that you have a little magic. And so we decided to supply you with magic. And that magic comes out of the human voice. I know many of us make an effort to sing, but some people are more equal than others. You are going to hear those people who are more equal than you. My job is to introduce my friend that I've known since we were 4 years old. His father was the famous American tenor at the Metropolitan Opera, Richard Tucker. And he is the president of the Richard Tucker Music Foundation. For those of you that didn't know, we just had a splendid performance last Sunday at Carnegie Hall with all the artists from the Met and the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra and the New York Choral Society. It was a wonderful evening. We could not bring them all here tonight. So what we decided was to introduce you to some of the newer singers. And the person who's best able to do that is my good friend Barry Tucker.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Dr. Henderson, for having us here. We started this foundation 44 years ago when my father died, and we figured out that we have to do something in his honor. So he loved singing here only in America. He hated to go to Europe because it was a waste of time to stand over in America. He'd rather sing for his people, the American people. And our mission is to help only American opera singers. Our list starts off with Renee Fleming, just to mention one who we found, and it goes on from there. And if you look at the roster of the Metropolitan Opera today, I'm proud to say way over 70% of all the Americans singing there today have come through the Tucker Foundation with help with our board of directors headed up by Mike Sunreich, who I've known only since we were 4 years old. The two young singers. Three young singers. Okay. Okay.
Immaculate conception.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, they are with the Metropolitan Opera, Young Artist Development, and have graduated after receiving awards from us to the stage of the Metropolitan Opera. So we're in for a treat. The best part of our concert last Sunday night was we had 8 or 9 stars of the Metropolitan Opera, but they were all young people. And listening to the young people, not some of the elderly people, should I say, which we expect, who are all great, but listening to the youth of America and what's growing up, opera is still alive. So without further ado, I hope they're out there. All three. Are they there? Is Gabby there?
Gabriella was.
Do you want to tell us?
Yeah.
We lost our singers.
It can't be far because I just
Do you want to tell us a little bit about each one?
I want them to
They'll talk about
yes. They'll speak about themselves and what they're doing, what they're performing tonight here for the organization, and I'm sure you will love them as much as we do. We call the Tucker, at the Richard Tucker Music Foundation, we have given out awards for 44 years, both in the Sarah Tucker Award, 4 or 5 each year, the Career Grant, 4 of those, and then our big award, which is $50,000. We give to one singer on the cusp of
That's
becoming
good that
international.
you and I don't have to sing this.
Without further ado, let's welcome our
As he said, I am Brian Michael Moore. This is Gabriela Reyes and our pianist Caitlin Terrell. And we'll offer you a few selections, smattering of opera this evening. I will start. This aria is actually one of my dream role arias. It's from the opera Tales of Hoffmann, and it's based on some writings by the German poet E.T.A. Hoffmann. And in this aria, he is at intermission with his friends while seeing one of his ex-girlfriends sing in Don Giovanni, and so he is understandably distressed, and so tries to liven the scene up with some story and gets a little involved. So enjoy.
Il était une fois à la cour d'Eisenach un petit avorton qui se nommait Kleinsack. Il était coiffé d'un colbac et ses jambes faisaient clic-clac, clic-clac, clic-clac. Voilà, voilà Kleinsack. Clic-clac, clic-clac. Voilà, voilà Kleinsack. Il avait une bosse en guise d'estomac. Ses pieds ramifiés semblaient sortis d'un sac. Son nez était noir de tabac et sa tête faisait cric-crac, cric-crac, cric-crac. Voilà, voilà Kleinsack. Clic-clac, clic-clac. Voilà, voilà Kleinsack. Quand au trait de sa figure, quand au trait de sa figure, à sa figure était charmante. Je la vois, belle, belle comme le jour, où courant après elle, je quittais comme un fou la maison paternelle et m'enfuis à travers les vallons et les bois. Ses cheveux, mes entoursailles sombres, sur son col il considère sur les ombres. Ses yeux enveloppés d'azur promenaient autour d'elle un regard frais et dur. Et comme l'autre char apportait sans secousse nos cœurs et nos amours, sa voix vibrante et douce. Aux cieux qu'il écoutait, jadis ce chant vainqueur dans l'éternel écho résonne dans mon cœur. vaut mieux. Tout difforme qu'il est. Quand il avait trop bu de genièvre de lac, il fallait voir flotter les deux pans de son frac. Comme des herbes dans un lac, et le monstre faisait flic-flac, flic-flac, flic-flac. Voilà, voilà, tac-tac. Flic-flac, flic-flac. Voilà, voilà, tac-tac.
Wow! Well, thank you all so much for being here. As I said earlier, I'm Gabriela Reyes. So thankful to the Richard Tucker Foundation for bringing us here tonight. I wanted to sing a little bit of Musetta from La Boheme. I don't know how many are familiar with La Boheme, probably everybody in the room, right? So, Musetta, you know, loves Marcello, wants to win him back, but the only way she knows how is to maybe flirt with a few people. So, here is Cuando me envolvo.
La gente sosta e mira, e la bellezza mia tutta ricerca in me la capo a pie. Ed assaporo la bramosia sottil che dagli occhi traspira e dai pallidi vezzi intender sa agli occulti pietà così l'effluvio del desiderio tutto
Wow, brava. This next piece is one of my favorite pieces to sing. You can't have a tenor sing in a thing like this without singing O Sole Mio. But this is particularly special for me because the last time I actually sang it was this summer at my wedding. My wife is Italian, and one of my favorite things to sing to her is O Sole Mio. But for all of you, maybe you'll hear a little Elvis Presley. See what happens.
tempesta, dell'aria fresca pare già una festa. Che bella cosa dopo una tempesta, che bella cosa una giornata e sole. In fronte a te, oh sole mio, sta in fronte a te, sta in fronte a te. First saw you with your smile so tender, my heart was captured, my soul surrendered. I'd spend a lifetime waiting for the right time. Now that you're near, the time is here at last. Come hold me tight, kiss me, my darling, be mine tonight. Tomorrow will be too late. It's now or never, my love won't wait. Oh, sole mio, sta in fronte a te, sta in fronte a te.
Oh, well, how to follow that? I'm going to try now. But he took a stab in his native language, and now I want to take a stab in my native language. So I wanted to sing this zarzuela for you from Las Hijas del Cebedo. It's called Carcerelas. So he's here talking about love and all of this, and I'm here talking about jealousy. I'm like, you know what? Please do not take this man away from me, because he is important to me, and if you take him away from me, it's like ripping petals from a flower. So this is Carcerelas. Al pensar en el dueño de mis amores, siento yo los mareos encantadores. Bendito sea aquel picaronazo que me marea. A mi novio yo le quiero porque roba corazones con su gracia y su salero, salero, salero. Porque roba corazones con su gracia y su salero. A mi novio yo le quiero porque roba corazones con su gracia y su salero, salero, salero. Él me quiere muy ufana porque hay muchos que lo quieren y se quedan con las ganas, las ganas, las ganas. Porque hay muchos que lo quieren y se quedan con las ganas. Él me quiere muy ufana porque hay muchos que lo quieren y se quedan con las ganas, las ganas, las ganas. Y se quedan con las ganas. hojitas de una flor, ay, las hojitas de una flor, ay, ay, las hojitas de una flor. Que me miran entornados, muchachones y muy píos, muy píos, muy píos, que me miran entornados, muchachones y muy píos, porque quiero los ojeros que me miran entornados, muchachones y muy píos, muy píos, muy píos. Y me dicen, ay Lucero, que por esa personita me derrito, yo me muero, me muero, me muero. Esa personita me derrito, yo me muero, me muero, me muero, me derrito, yo me muero. Caprichosa y grosera, la quiero solamente, solamente para mí, ay, solamente para mí, ay, que quitarme mis amores, con eso que quitarme las hojitas y la flor, ay, las hojitas y la flor, ay, las hojitas y la flor, ay.
So for our last two pieces, we will do a couple of duets, very famous duets in fact. This first one being from West Side Story, the classic Tonight duet between Tony and Maria, like Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lovers. And then, after that, we will do the very famous duet also from La Boheme, O Suave Fanciulla, another duet of lovers. So there's just a lot of love in the air.
So much love! And thank you again so much for having us.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
no,
and
this
brava
is such
to
a great night.
Caitlin Terrell.
Only you, you're the only thing I'll see forever. In my eyes, in my words, and in everything I do. Nothing else but you, ever.
There is nothing for me but Maria. Every sight that I see is Maria.
Tony, Tony.
Always you're in every thought I know. Everywhere I go, you'll be.
It all began tonight. I saw you and the world went away. Tonight, tonight, there's only you tonight. What you are, what you say.
Today and what was just a world is a star tonight. Tonight, tonight, the world is full of light, with suns and moons all over the place. Tonight, tonight, the world is wild and bright, going mad, shooting sparks into space. Today, the world was just an address, a place for me to live in, no better than alright. But here you are, and what was just a world is a star tonight. Good night, good night. Sleep well, and when you dream, dream of me. Soave fanciulla, o dolce viso di mite gir confuso al balurar. In terra appesa, il sogno che vorrei sempre sognare.
Pietà,
sei mia,
v'aspetta gli amici,
mi mandi via.
vorrei dir ma non oso. Se venissi con voi,
Che sarebbe così dolce restar qui, c'è freddo fuori.
mi starò vicino.
E al ritorno
Curioso,
dammi il braccio, mia piccina.
obbedisco, signor.
Che m'ami
Io t'amo.
I really enjoyed that. I know you all did. Thank you for your applause. But, are there any questions here of the singers or the pianists that you would like to ask them so they can fill you in on how it's all done? Any questions?
I want to know where you all studied, because you're all magnificent.
I went to Eastman for my undergraduate. I studied with Nelita True in solo piano, and then I went to Juilliard and studied collaborative piano with Margot Garrett, Diane Richardson, and Brian Ziegler. And then I'm here at the Lindemann.
I started off in the Midwest playing tuba, actually at a Christian college. I was a tuba player. And then I transferred to the Boston Conservatory of Music, and I did my undergraduate there. I did 1 year at Boston University Opera Institute, a performance certificate, and then the Lindemann plucked me out of there, and I've been at the Met since.
And she was on stage last week and this week in Turandot in Liu.
Yes, it was my role debut.
I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, originally, and I went to actually the Manhattan School of Music up across from Columbia for my bachelor's and master's degrees. And then I was in the Los Angeles Opera's Young Artist Program for 2 seasons before coming here to the Met's Young Artist Program.
And he made his debut last year in Il Tabarro.
Yes. And this year I'll also be in the La Traviata, the Gastone in that.
With another one of our winners, Lisette.
Exactly, yeah.
Who just won our Tucker Award. Any other questions?
How much do you have to rehearse for a show like this? You get any chance to be together?
Yeah. Are you talking about like in an ideal situation or in real life? In real life, I mean, we've both been slammed. They were ill for a couple of days, so we met today.
Caitlin is my pianist. Both of our is our pianist at the Met, and so we've done some of these solo pieces together before. And Gabi and I have sung these 2 duets before, but not with Caitlin. So
there's
a little bit
of puzzle pieces there.
Exactly.
Any other questions?
What made you go to opera?
So I played a lot of sports growing up, so I was a very active kid, and I was always trying to find new ways to express my physical energy and get it out. And my sister, in fact, who's 5 years older than me, she was in plays and musicals in high school, and I just absolutely loved that. I wanted to do that, and so I followed in her footsteps, and I was in a bunch of musicals in high school, but I never had that sort of Broadway voice. I always had a much more classical voice. And so I took voice lessons and just found that I was better at opera than other types of singing, and so that sort of just led me here.
Well, my grandmother is from Nicaragua, and she never had the chance to study opera, but when I was 5 years old, she'd be taking care of me, making me ham and cheese sandwiches, and listening to the Met radio broadcast, and singing all of the notes. And I remember very distinctly her singing with Maria Callas and singing Carmen and Butterfly and all of that. So that led me into music. I started off with saxophone first, played that since I was 11. I taught myself the tuba, went there, but it wasn't until college, after 2 years of studying and playing tuba, I made fun of an opera singer one day while we were rehearsing with the orchestra, and the director was like, "Wait a minute, you're better than the person you're making fun of. Why are you not doing this?" So I took a couple lessons. They encouraged me to transfer. It was really sweet because last season for my stage debut, my grandmother got to listen to me on the Met Radio broadcast in her kitchen, singing on stage and in Trítico and Johnny's Kiki. So kind of like a come full circle moment.
Any other questions?
Thank you all so much for performing. You sang in a number of languages and refer to native languages, and in fact your wife is Italian. And I was wondering to what extent your knowledge of the language, people, the place affects your ability to perform.
Yeah, quite a bit, in fact. I am not fluent in all the languages that I perform in. I'm fluent in Italian, despite messing up some words. And I speak some French, but really being immersed in a culture is incredibly informative because it's not just the language we sing, it's the style of music that we sing in, and so the style of music comes out of cultural aspects, and so knowing that culture certainly informs our way of performing, and being an American and not if I hadn't been able to travel around the world and experience these different cultures, it would have been difficult to sort of like insert my own sort of, I don't know, criticisms or like stereotypes into it. But actually experiencing the cultures and knowing their intricacies and their things, that is really, really helpful, certainly.
To add on to that, thankfully, through the Richard Tucker Foundation, they provided us with grants. I know we were both winners last year of the Sarah Tucker Grant, the Richard Tucker Grant, using those to travel and to take courses in Europe and Italy and Germany has been really helpful. And through the Met, we have a private tutor. While we're still in the Lindemann Development Program, they still develop us. So we'd have weekly language one-on-one lessons with a tutor who knows like 80 languages. Yeah. Kind of crazy. But yeah, we're fortunate enough to have that as a part of our training.
What's your dream piece to be able to sing or play?
Oh man, I know. Tosca.
Okay.
Tosca. I want to sing Tosca one day. later, maybe like 10, 15 years.
What's your dream piece?
Oddly enough, I'd also like to sing Cabaret. No, I love Italian music. I do love Hoffman, though. It's such a cool role and really cool singing and music. So my dream role flips back and forth, all the time. But right now, maybe I'll say Hoffman.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Tosca's a beautiful score. I'd love to play it someday.
Puccini for life.
Well, can I have a question? How do you reach out to young people and get them interested in opera and keep the art form alive?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Social media. Truly, I think posting things about our everyday. We went to school with so many people that probably don't follow it, but they follow us through Instagram. So like a lot of my high school friends or people in my neighborhood, they follow that, and I try to post as regularly as I can and being very genuine about it, not making it this glamorous thing, but like this is what our everyday is and this is what goes into it. I think that's really important.
Yeah, one of the important things for young people to get into opera is just to know that it's not this sort of restrictive thing. It's not only like this upper class thing. It's very accessible to plots and music and everything. Once you experience it, you sort of can understand the like visceral impact that opera frequently gives you. A lot of opera companies have outreach programs, but one of the coolest things, also Tosca. I was in a Tosca in LA. And they would frequently bring students to see like Final Dress. I think the Met does this also. They bring in students to watch, and it's always the best audience. I think just having the exposition to it and knowing that it's like a real thing. It's a real form of entertainment that is just as impactful as any movie or drama or play like that. It's just a lack of exposure to it, I think, affects it a lot. But then once you are hooked, it's great. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did, and let's give them a great round of applause.